Looks like we're getting some leaks of what the Galaxy S20 is gonna cost us, and it's not looking good. So let's begin. Now, these leaks are coming from John Prosser, who apparently is a leaker now. Yeah, full on with, like, images and stuff, and he's verified. He's a good friend of mine. He's the host of Front Page Tech, much better channel than this one. But he's telling us that basically, of the S20 lineup, there's 3 primary ones that we know about, and the lineup of Galaxy phones may not be as complicated as we all thought it to be. So, in previous years, we've seen, you know, the regular Galaxy S line, and then a 5G version, which is usually beefed up and has some extra specs in it with a larger display, whereas this time Samsung may be keeping things a little bit more simple and just have the entire lineup support 5G, but that does come at a cost. The regular Galaxy S20 to start at $1,000, S20 Plus to start at $1,200, and the S20 Ultra we've heard so much about with its insane specs to start at $1,400, which, wow! I know Samsung sells lots of other mid-range phones and they have light versions of their previous generation phones and stuff, but man, it's gonna be pretty difficult anymore for people to say that Apple is the company selling the really, really expensive phones when Samsung is potentially doing this. You know, last year we could say Samsung charges $2,000 for that Galaxy Fold, but you know, the Fold, it's kind of a one-off, it's kind of a different thing. That's not really the mainstream, and they didn't even ship the thing. You had to pick it up in store and whatnot, so it doesn't really count. But these are actual flagships, okay? This is like their direct iPhone competitor is the S20. That's what it's following the S10, you know? And to start it off at $1,000 and potentially up to $1,400. Not to mention, none of this is bringing up the extra storage configuration. So I'm sure if you want a phone with more storage than just the default, it'll probably end up costing you even more than these prices. But I know I'm the Apple sheep. I know it's my thing to kind of diss on everybody else. But to be honest with you, I actually don't think these prices are that insane. For one, Samsung, they haven't had a great year for profit anyway. And I think most of Samsung's focus goes towards manufacturing and doing deals with other brands. That's why they got really upset when Apple didn't sell enough iPhones. You think Samsung would be happy about that, but they were actually upset because a primary source of their revenue mostly comes from manufacturing parts of other smartphones. The actual sales of their individual models don't really matter too much, and the phones that sell the best for Samsung are typically not those high-end S9, S10 models, or even the Note line. It's typically the more mid-range series of phones, and trying to go for higher price points but having rock-solid specs is why I think these prices are definitely on the high end. I'll agree with you, but I'm not going to say they're too out of control because Samsung probably saw a tremendous number of trade-ins in the last couple of years of upgrades. A lot of people take their old phone, trade it in for the new one, get a significant discount on the next-gen phone, and I doubt very many people who end up getting the S20 Ultra are actually going to be paying $1,400 for it. They'll probably be trading in their Note or their S10, and I'm sure Samsung will give you a huge credit if you decide to trade in an iPhone, and that's probably going to bring it much under the $1,000 price tag. So given the specifications that these things are rumored to have, all of course have 5G. They're all probably going to have 128 gigs of storage. The S20 Ultra may potentially have 16 gigs of RAM, which is insane. 120 hertz displays across the board. No headphone jack. You know, all these insane specs are going to make people forget that they removed the jack. But overall, just in terms of specifications, and I'm sure the camera performance on these things, they're going to be crushing it. So expensive, yes, but overpriced, I don't think so. I think that for what you're getting out of these phones, they're probably going to be deemed worth it by a lot of creators, and I'm definitely going to get my hands on one of them. I'm not sure exactly yet, but I always love trying out at least one Samsung phone a year, and the S20 looks like it's going to be a solid one across the board. It's going to be very, very hard to beat that phone in specs, but not too hard to beat that phone in price. So it just feels like a backwards dimension now where we have Apple selling the $700 iPhone, and that's doing great, but Samsung is selling the, you know, $1,000 and $1,400 S20, and that's how they combat, you know, the iPhone with the higher price stuff. So again, these leaks may end up being wrong. So if they are, you can all let John Prosser know about it because he's the one I'm getting this from. He did say from a few sources at different carriers, AT&T claimed that everything would be about $100 cheaper than I originally said at the beginning of the video. But both from Verizon and Samsung, I assume those people you could probably trust more than AT&T. But yeah, even if these crazy price points are out there, I still think that for what you're getting out of the phone, it makes sense. So Samsung, they're just aiming for the higher profit margins versus the try to be competitive with the iPhone on pricing because Samsung has to win on specs. That's the only thing they have. They can't win on software, they can't win on longevity, they can't win with ecosystem support, so gotta win with the specs, and that's what they're doing. Anyway, let me know what you think of these S20 prices by hitting me up over on Twitter, joining our Discord. I'm Andrew Erickson, and I did an entire Samsung video without making a Note 7 joke. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I'll see you in the next one.